This is Elizabeth Bero, here to tell you some stories about rocks. You might not think that a rock could have a story, but it does. So this is a meteorite. A meteor is a streak of light in the sky caused by a bit of debris from a comet or a asteroid. And if a piece survives to the ground, it's called a meteorite. You can think about it hitting right on the ground. So this particular meteorite is a fragment from a place called Cañón Diablo in the Spanish, which means Devil Canyon, or Behringer's Crater, or Meteor Crater in Arizona. All the same place, just with different names. So the story about Mr. Behringer is that back in about 1903, he had an idea that this pit might be a meteorite impact spot. Nobody else thought that at the time. They thought it was the mouth of a volcano or some kind of other natural phenomena, not necessarily impacted by something from space. And he had an idea that there was going to be a mother lode of really great iron underneath that hole in the ground. So he bought it, and he invested his life savings in equipment to dig up at the bottom, and he never found anything. It wasn't until 1960 Eugene Shoemaker confirmed that yes, Meteor Crater is a meteor crater. Of course, there's a gift house there, and it's a welcome station. You can go as a tourist and take a walk around this mile-wide hole. Why isn't there a mother lode of metal at the bottom? Because it vaporized above the earth and it was gone. There's little teeny fragments left from that destructive explosion, but there's no big, huge meteorite buried underneath the ground there. Now, this is a stony iron, which means it's a combination of iron and crystals. It's a nickel matrix with peridot in it. This one is awfully special. It's got a great story. It's from Brenham, Kansas. And back in the 1800s, there was a farm family in Kansas breaking the prairie sod, trying to, make a living. And as they were plowing the prairie, which they were so excited about because there were no trees to cut down, they kept hitting these ugly black rocks. And so the dad kept breaking the teeth on the plow with this. So the mom would run out there and pick up as many rocks as she could. And she made a nice wall in front of their cabin with these rocks. And she got teased for that. People would come to her and say, why are you doing that? That looks silly, because they had never seen a sod house with a fancy stone wall in front of it. One day, somebody saw that stone wall and recognized it for what it was, meteorites. And they sent a letter up to the Chicago Museum of Natural History. And the curator there sent oxen and a wagon down to pick up the rocks. They paid the family for those rocks, and then all the neighbors were like, oh, I gotta see if I can find some rocks worth money in my yard too. It was very exciting. This is a fairly rare kind of meteorite, and there's just a very few places on Earth that these have ever been found. So we're very lucky to have this in our collection here at VBAS, Von Braun Astronomical Society here in Huntsville, Alabama. Now, this is a stony rock, and this one's kind of exciting too. It's more recent. It fell to Earth in the 1960s over a town called Allende in Mexico. And it was very dramatic because it was burning into the atmosphere, broke apart, and showers of little teeny rocks came falling down all over the town. Everybody ran out to pick up the rocks because they knew meteorites are worth money. And we don't have a lot of really good, positive examples of stonies. 90% of what falls to Earth are stonies, like this. But 90% of what you find in museums are irons, like this. Because this is obviously from outer space. But if you didn't see this fall, you might not know that it was from outer space. It looks a lot like an Earth rock. And just think of it, 3/4 of the Earth is covered with water. So 3/4 of the rocks go into the water. And of the remaining fourth of the Earth, well, an awful lot of it is desert or Antarctica or Greenland. So finding a meteorite when it's breaking up in front of you and falling to the ground right then, that's very important. And that's called a fall. If you just stumble over one in the woods as you're walking along, that's a find. And that's it for me and rocks today.